Okay, testing. All right, I think I hear something better. Can somebody say something? All right, yes. Okay. Is my microphone okay? Quality wise? All right. Sweet. Hello everybody. It's been a while. I am still kind of adjusting to this time zone. Time zone is not easy. Oh,
Oh,
hang on.
you left Orange County?
Yeah, hang on 1 second, bro.
Seems like a lot of people are moving these days.
Yeah, I
That
left
is
California
true.
about a year ago.
Did you?
I did.
Where did you go?
Arizona,
Oh,
a little
nice.
bit
A little
less,
hotter. Okay.
little hotter, but
Yeah.
less people, less traffic,
Yeah, I heard it's
cheaper.
nice.
Good.
You're West Coast, Bex?
Yes, I'm in LA.
Okay.
I'm originally East Coast, so I get it.
Uh, yeah. So,
So you're at the
yeah, I'm
hotel?
yeah, I'm at the hotel right now on my way out to Bali. I'm quarantining for 5 days. Uh,
Oh.
while they while they test me and whatnot. But this is it's kind of a sudden move, uh,
Oh.
because of this like crazy opportunity that popped up.
So you're
Which
you're not moving, like you're just meeting somewhere in Bali?
yeah. So I don't know. I have to. Oh, let me turn off my thingy here. I don't know. Are we recording yet? Just double checking. Oh, we are. I have to be mindful of what exactly I could say. But all right, so yeah, essentially the okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so essentially the background is we've been working on this partnership with a group called highvibe.network. You can check out their website, highvibe.network. Because I was speaking on a clubhouse room a while back, and their CEO reached out. It's like, hey, you know what you guys are doing is really awesome. I love like the approach you're taking, and we're doing some similar things, and I think our goals are aligned. Let's chat and see how we can partner up. So we've been talking about like, okay, they're building this social network which is using these vibe tokens to help promote personal growth and meditation and mindfulness. They're building out a cross-chain compatible solution, so that way other blockchains you could just kind of port items or NFTs and crypto back and forth. And they're also building their own version of Decentraland, which is kind of badass. So yeah, they got a whole like ecosystem that they're putting together. And FaZe essentially was saying, hello, Mighty, how's it going? Good to see you." Um, I'm saying like, yeah, Leyline, it really kind of is this missing puzzle piece in that ecosystem where, ideally we're kind of tying everything together towards social impact. And we're all about social impact. It's really about incentivizing all these different positive activities while getting money into people's hands, gamifying that. So yeah, what's happened is, all right, he after about like a month of like kind of chatting back and forth and figuring out the scope, he basically said, "Hey, you know what? Let's like put some rocket fuel onto this thing." And basically, we're kind of figuring out how do we make this a really, really entrenched partnership, if not like almost a merger. So that's kind of what I'm out here to do. So I'm living in Bali for the next 3 months to work with the team to kind of get to know them all and figure out overall funding and staffing and getting a bunch of support and really accelerating all of the development and community building that we're doing. So it's super exciting. I think there's like a world of opportunity here, and what's most exciting to me is that there's like this really amazing alignment in what we're hoping to do. Because ultimately they're looking to heal the world and bring light back into society in the same way that we are, just in our own specific ways. So it's super cool. I don't know how it's going to play out, honestly. There's a lot to really figure out and to talk through. I'm hoping that it's a great fit, but it's hard to tell. These type of major conversations can go any which direction. So it's hard for me to say and guarantee anything, but that's my focus is to figure out how we can further accelerate our progress here and start to make some exponential progress on helping a lot of people that are suffering in the world.
Cool.
So yeah, that's a bit of the one update, but
Uh,
there are much more to go.
So 3 months. Did you have like a connection? Did because you're already West Coast, so probably like
Yeah, I had to stop over at Singapore, and it was crazy. Like literally, this happened like last Friday. So it's kind of it happened fucking fast, and yeah, so they like rushed a visa. They had like a guy that like does all that stuff. But yeah, it was two stops, one to Singapore, and then now I'm in Jakarta, quarantining here. Then I have to take a flight to Bali on Wednesday of next week.
so it's like what about your computer? Did you take all that stuff with you or you left it?
Not really. I just brought my laptop, packed up everything I had into like 2 bags, and
Uh,
then stored and got rid of the rest. And here I am, like a true nomad.
and what about the kids?
I'm gonna be probably flying them out here in 2 weeks. My
Okay.
hope is to be back there maybe once a month to see them. That's the really most painful part for sure. I think they're kind of my oxygen, and that's like pretty brutal to be apart from
Where's
them.
their mom or?
What's that? Yeah,
Oh,
they're with their mom.
all right.
And yeah, I've got like my dad out there too to help out occasionally. All right, he's in Vegas, but he can pitch in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, what happens after 3 months? I've literally no idea. Whether I'll be back, whether I stay, what happens to the family. A lot is very much unknown. Um, but yeah, there's two big priorities for me. One is I want to make sure that our mission, our vision, our principles with Leyline will remain intact. That there's a sense of autonomy and independence to operate like per our principles. Particularly, we are not for profit. We're about getting money into people's hands all over the world, and we're about full transparency and accountability, and ultimately decentralize our governance where the community has way more power over the direction that we go. So I think those are some of the hard negotiation points that I'm always going to stick to, and that our people are taken care of. And from there, I think as long as we have that foundation, I think the sky's the limit. There's a lot of cool stuff we could do. And yeah, aside from that, just got to make sure I can take care of my family because man, it has been a rough journey. Holy crap! I have to say. And you know what? We're actually up on our 1 year anniversary of Leyline. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I started this thing on July 10.
Oh, you need to get
I
a
made
cake, like a cake NFT.
yeah, I'll get like a tiny. I don't know. They like deliver these like small boxes of food. So that'll be my anniversary
That'd be
cake.
so cute. Oh, Robert asked, what organizations are you going to be meeting in Bali, if any?
Oh, so yeah, the key one is going to be High Vibe, but it's really interesting. In Bali, there's a lot of these social impact orgs that for some reason, there's just this whole like progressive type of vibe there that, and like also kind of like high tech as well. So I've actually been introduced to like 4 or 5 other groups to kind of meet up with because they also have kind of similar goals as we do. But still TBD who else I'm going to be coordinating with. And what's interesting is that High Vibes got like quite a bit of folks in their network already, and some key celebrities that they've already signed deal with that they would like us to kind of take on those relationships. Um, and the idea is that they'd like to set up Leyline as kind of this key strategic pillar in that ecosystem centered on its social impact. So all of those nonprofit partners that they have, including Pencils for Promise and One Tree Planted, it seems like they would fit kind of under our wheelhouse in the same way that we are partnering and amplifying Botswana Red Cross Society and some other educational and dental and health oriented nonprofits in Haiti and Nepal and South Africa. So I think our portfolio of partners will just actually continue to grow significantly. So it's fascinating. There's a lot going on in a matter of like weeks. Because man,
They're worldwide.
Yeah, it's oh sorry, reference. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Uh, it feels like it's all coming together. Like it's the whole like. I feel like we're almost peaking.
I think so, man. Honestly, I really do. And it came in at I couldn't imagine a better time because like here's the story. So last week on like Thursday, I was not in good shape. Things are not looking great. We had like a number of deals fall through. The crypto crash like really hit our runway hardcore where we were about like a month and a half before running out of funds. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, I'm so over leveraged trying to keep this thing funded. Like I've like maxed out my credit cards. I'm in like a lot of debt. I'm really in the hole. And I was like, okay, what the hell do I do? We've got only like 6 or 7 weeks before things run out. Like this is so crazy. How am I gonna like pull this shit together? And it was getting pretty dark because I had to like figure out, okay, what's plan B and plan C to spin down the organization if things don't really turn around. And the next day, and I was on Clubhouse, like hanging out with the Board Apes Yacht Club, and just like pouring out my soul. It's like we spent a year trying to do this, and trying to hold it together. We're not giving up. And it's like it's a very emotional moment. People were like crying, like talking about it and stuff like that, including me. Um, and made a lot of friends, which is great. Like apparently, when you bare your soul and show all your vulnerability, people like to support you. And
I
the
think you
next
have to be you
day,
for that to work.
maybe, but you might be surprised. And yeah, the very next day is when FaZe gives you that call, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable. This is kind of like a miracle in where we are right now. So it was kind of this really bizarre turn of events in a very very short time. So some people that talked to me like the day before and then the day of, they're like, "What the hell just happened? Like, how is this possible?" So anyway, that's the story. And who knows? It's the story's not over yet for sure. So there's more
So,
to
so when you did the knee
cover.
of the curve thing, were you still in the States or were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Emmett's. I hope
Yeah.
Emmett's doing well.
Yeah.
I still got to catch up with him because he's planning to do an NFT video or knee of the curve.
Right. Right.
The problem with NFTs is, it was funny. I was doing an interview with a writer from Forbes, and we were talking about a couple of topics, like, and then start off with like the future of work and like how we're doing things in terms of like our full transparency at Leyline and our remote work culture, and then we started talking about NFTs. It's like, okay, let's write an article on NFTs. And then by the time we started to like finish that draft, and special thanks to Chris for helping out in that one, like NFTs have blown up already, and like there's already hundreds of articles like digging into it. So we're just like, man, this space moves so fast. So now she's really, we're kind of going with the angle of like, how does nonprofits and social impact tie into this whole movement, which is also happening very quickly. And we've been ahead of the curve in terms of infusing social impact into the NFT space. But actually, almost everybody's doing it now. Like everyone's like thinking about, okay, how do we leverage all this money being generated for charity? So it's a beautiful thing to see. Like honestly, I'm really happy that that's a new trend now. And so yeah, we were gonna have to continue staying ahead of the curve and innovating. And we got some cool ideas. So happy to share some stuff with you today. But I love the questions. Thanks for throwing them out there. But Reflux, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, I had to take a offline detox Like I've been online too much, so I'm back now.
Nice. How'd you like it? Did it feel good?
Yeah, I've been yeah, just trying to walk every morning, and yeah, doing my Leyline stuff. Yeah.
Ooh, love it, man. And I hope that's been beneficial. Walking and exercising. 10 points. You should post on on the Good Axe
I was
channel.
gonna say
Oh
if you
wait, sorry,
post
you
a
were offline.
video, if you post a video on your in the Good X channel, you
I
can get
didn't
some
know that.
points.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah. Yeah, Elijah has done this awesome job. Like, man, it's turned out really nice with the Discord bot and integration. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface on what we could do to kind of enable stuff here. But other good news too is that the partnerships with our folks on the ground in uh, Botswana and Haiti are moving nice and fast. We've actually done a couple of NFT charity sales on OpenSea and raised enough money to actually purchase these Leyline starter kits. So we're going to brand them Leyline starter kits, which consists of three things: it's a smartphone, it's a solar battery charger, and a data plan. So once a person is equipped with that, they can now get onto the internet and participate in a digital economy. They could download their crypto wallet, they could start to collect NFTs, they could play some games, and they could start using Leyline, where by doing good and volunteering, you're actually earning this cash value prize and cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So what we're testing out now is we've now got a starter kit for one family in Haiti and then one family in Botswana. Both are in extreme poverty. And we're basically going to see, hey, does this hypothesis prove true? If we equipped an individual family and we have them participate, we help to guide them to make sure that the people on the ground can help teach and mentor them and show them how to stay safe in a digital world. Could this be game changing? Could this be life changing? And I would say that this has already been proven out by other nonprofit orgs where they just drop ship phones and see what happens. Like people learn how to code and engineer just all by themselves. But I think this is our opportunity to demonstrate that our platform, our community is going to help drive this forward. And then as those individuals can earn their money, they can raise enough to buy another Leyline starter kit for the rest of their community and then do that over and over again and compound that effect. So that's the plan for the next like 3 months is to test it out. We're going to continue to run NFT sales for charity through our partnerships with NFTs Tips and High Vibe and Bored Apes. So I think we will be going exponential over the next few months or so. So it's super exciting. So yeah, I wanted to share that news too because you guys will see a lot more newcomers coming into our Discord chat, a lot more participants in the Good Act channel, but as well a lot of new people to the internet. So even providing some kind of support and making them feel welcome could be a huge thing because a lot of these will be young folks too that have just never experienced any of this stuff. And that's going to be fascinating to observe and to be a part of. So I'm super excited, and I'm so grateful that you guys are here, and because I think there's going to be some fun stuff to come. And yeah, any questions about that?
I don't think there's any questions about that. But Robert did mention something that is a situation that I've been into and I know other people have been into. Where
Okay.
he said that I was talking to a few people a couple of days ago, and one of them was big into Bitcoin and NFTs, and the other doesn't think NFTs have any value. Which I know everybody's probably been in that situation.
Oh yeah, it's a challenging space just because of how much there is to learn about it, and but Robert, what actually can you describe the kind of interaction? Because maybe I can help give a bit more, context to that could help you with those conversations. Because I can imagine that's a struggle.
I was at an event last Thursday for the Decarcerate Sacramento. A few of us were talking about NFTs and Bitcoin. One doesn't think thinks Bitcoin has some value, but NFTs have almost no value except for the gaming community. or the
Mm.
Bitcoin community?
Hmm. Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of ways to determine value and define value. A lot of it is highly subjective. And I think there are probably three areas that are going to lead the way when it comes to NFT adoption and people to have consensus around whether or not something has value. That's going to be art, music, and gaming. And it's true, many people can easily extrapolate gaming because all games are really based on these digital assets. So gamers already have that kind of mode of value association. But what's happening now is art in particular is truly exploding. And the way to think about it is there are art galleries and there are art collectors today in the real world, in the physical space. And so, what are the reasons that people find that art valuable? And then why do they invest, like potentially even millions of dollars into those things? And one is that it's about evoking emotion and beauty, but also this consensus that everybody else thinks it's beautiful, everyone else thinks it's also priceless and rare, that they have respect for the artist behind it, that they know there's a story of that individual and what they went through to produce that art. So now it's just extrapolating that type of mentality and that value association into the digital space. And the difference is that the NFT is making it a unique item that cannot be copied, replicated, or hacked. So that's where we are now able to kind of break the boundaries from the physical world where we know that's unique to the digital world where it used to be non unique and now it totally is. So, in the same way that gamers have our epic swords and shields, and we associate value to that, and now NFTs, same thing is happening to art, and the same thing is happening to music. And that's just the first layer of adoption because now you take these parallels from the real physical space, and then you can add even more functionality. You could program things into that art piece. So that way it can change, it could upgrade, it could be split into multiple pieces and sold, and then also leverage as collateral for a loan. So now think about this. If you own a piece of valuable art and it's say it has a valuation of like $500 or $1,000, you can actually collateralize that as part of a loan and say, you know what, I'm going to take 75% of this art piece, put it up for a loan, and I'll get a $2,000 loan which I could use to run my business or to invest in other areas and whatnot. So you can actually use these as general assets to produce value for yourself and to run a business or whatever you do with a loan. So it's creating this whole new asset class, just like you would with Bitcoin as digital gold. You now have NFTs as these type of collateral that you use to purchase things. So that's why NFTs. It's really subject to the community behind it and social consensus that we all share this belief that that piece of art is valuable, that it was created by like a legitimate artist, and has some function and utility. So there's all sorts of ways to look at it. But the biggest thing is just take a look at the numbers. If you go to shoot, what is it? There's a number of websites. I'll link it out to you guys in chat, where you can look at the market cap of NFTs, of art NFTs. You can see the volume of trading on OpenSea today, where some of these art projects are easily trading for thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars per NFT. And we're seeing volume trading easily in like the hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's already there. And now the question is how many more people are going to flood into the space? And you project the next 5 years where we have a billion more people jumping onto the internet, in part thanks to us too, because we're going to be dishing out those starter kits. Those are all people that are now joining in on that economy, both creating art, but also generating value where they can actually purchase that too. So there's going to be a ton of activity in this space, and it's going to roll out for decades. Like how big this is all going to be, and my hope is that it's going to be great for humanity because one, art is awesome, music is awesome, like it's part of what makes life joyful. But it creates more abundance because people can create now and they can have their stuff purchased and sold.
What if
So
people are like who are really good at like telling stories and giving speeches? When will we ever be able to like sell that? you know?
stories and speech. I
Yeah.
mean, I think Today it's possible. You can take any file or any asset now and upload it onto these marketplaces like OpenSea. The real question is, will you find a buyer that will pay for it? So I think what people have to start to develop are a couple of things. Either they really hone in on their skill as an artist, as a creator, as a musician, as a writer, and produce amazing content, and then work with organizations and platforms that could do promotion and marketing for you so that you can be discovered. Other artists have to kind of do all of the above and become their whole business, which is not only do I have to create, but I have to network. I have to be part of communities. I have to find a way to show people what I'm doing and tell that story that they'd be willing to invest.
I'm really
And I
doing.
think,
Oh,
hmm?
I'm really doing that on spaces, and now they're gonna come up with like ticketed spaces. And now there's also remember that fireside thing that I told you about? They're working on that because like I'm so good at it, but I want to make money too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. And I think in this whole like creators economy, the biggest thing you do is build your brand. And the main thing is just be your authentic self. Just be you and lean into that and just continue to hone that and then build your audience, build your community. I think ultimately that's the one thing that nobody can copy or beat out of you, which is nobody's gonna be better at being you than you. So that's one element, but it's also knowing where your audience is, how you're gonna, build value for them. It's tough, because we are still struggling, or along for a long time we are trying to figure out who are we trying to speak to. Is it gamers? Is it altruists? Is it the Boink community? And what we're seeing is two components, which is it's about the people in desperate need that we're trying to help, and then it's these collectors, the people that like understand NFTs and see the future of what it holds, that have like the crypto assets to make those purchases and connect the dots. So in large part is really finding your tribe. I think that's probably the
That's it.
most like important thing, and it's tough to do, honestly. But I think it's part of the journey. So you're on an entrepreneurial journey, Ariel, and
That's it.
I'm with you.
Thanks.
And I think that's what we're trying to offer as well, is because we are aiming to do these monthly charity NFT sales. By collaborating with all these other communities, we can get more exposure to the artists that have contributed their creations into our NFT collection. So if you check out OpenSea right now, actually, let me do some share screen. All right, can you guys see my? On OpenSea, we've created our own collections as well, where we've been able to upload, assets that come from our artists and team members. And the way we're approaching that is if any one of these goes and gets sold, we're splitting the commissions such that 30% will go to the artist, 30% will go to Leyline to fund our development of the platform and the prize pool and those Leyline starter kits. And then 40% will go to helping those individuals that are in extreme poverty. So it creates this whole win-win-win situation where it's not just one-to-one per transaction. It's this whole everybody gains out of the platform. And so artists or creators that want to donate into this portfolio, we will make sure that we get that exposure. We go run the events. We go connect with other communities and really spread the message of this is like just awesome stuff that we're doing here. Not only is it great art, but there's real impact in the real world and social value that we're creating. So I think that's this kind of thing where for the creators that don't want to do marketing and publishing and business development and networking and community stuff, we can help to get that exposure and then help do the promotion since we're doing all the events and connecting all these folks in the network. So another experiment that we're running to see how effective that is. And so now we've got a nice portfolio to test out, and we're going to start to do our best to promote on your behalf.
I
All right.
almost know nothing about NFTs. How to do a transaction.
Oh, say that one more time, Robert. I
I
didn't get
said
to hear that.
I almost know nothing about how to do a transaction with NFTs on either a
Oh, a
KK
transaction
or
NFTs.
OpenSea.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's a number of ways to do it. If you're talking about transaction on a marketplace like OpenSea, the first thing you'll need to do is log in with your MetaMask account or your Kaikis wallet. So let's say, oops. All right.
I got a
I
Cactus
just,
account.
okay, good. Let me see if I could show here. You guys are only seeing my web browser, right? You're not seeing my password manager?
Yeah.
Let me just be safe and not do that. That's just stupid of me. All right, I'm gonna stop streaming for a minute and get my password. So yeah, so what I'll show you, Robert, is on OpenSea how you'll log in and you can start doing your transactions here. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. All right. Okay, so now I'm actually logged in, or I'm going to sign in into OpenSea. You can choose your MetaMask wallet or your Kaikis wallet. So I'll do Kaikis for now, and
I
then
got
sign in.
Cactus myself.
Oh, sorry, Robert, you're really muffled.
I said I have Cactus.
Yeah, Kaikis. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. So yeah, it'll ask you about this connection request once you do that as a pop-up. And once you've done that, you should be signed in. Oops, what's going on here? Sign in, you thing. There's some kind of lag. My internet's not so great, unfortunately.
Hotel internet's not good. Awful.
Yeah. Ah, damn it. Okay, let's
You
try
mean
this one more
internet
time.
volume not any good?
uh, yikes, something's going on here. Um, okay, but I believe I am signed in now. So yeah, once you are signed in with your wallet, you can basically browse any NFTs that are in the marketplace. And once you're there, you can place your bid. Um, Man, this really sucks if nothing's loading here. All right, so here's some examples of NFTs that are on Kaikis. You click through that, and there are a number of ways you can make a purchase. One is you could just place a bid on a fixed price item, or they have some time limited auctions where someone's trying to sell it. Also, you can just browse anybody's collection and make an offer, even if they're not planning to sell it. So I actually own some NFTs that people just constantly bid on because they want to get it, even though I have not posted it for sale. So here you can basically make your offer and you have to make sure your wallet's connected. Okay, so that's an Ethereum one. So it's actually going into my Ethereum wallet. And it's quite simple. Once you've connected your wallet, it just kind of opens up the right pop-ups for you to make a purchase. Man, I'm sorry, this demo kind of sucks because nothing is actually
How
loading.
about if you want to sell?
What's that?
How about if you want to sell?
Oh yeah, yeah. Since if you own the item, you can just choose sell right here, and it'll pop it up
Okay.
as an item for sale. And yeah, it looks like Clayton is not loading this just yet. So let me swap over to MetaMask for the moment. Sorry, I'm gonna log out. Sign in. Oh dang it. Okay, let me end screen share real quick. Okay, MetaMask. All right.
I don't know,
And I'll
rookie at
share
this.
again. Okay, sharing. Okay, so let's do a sign into MetaMask. Go. Execute. Command. Okay, here we go. All right, so now that I'm on MetaMask, let's go search for some cool stuff here. So you can actually find our collection by searching for Leyline and hoping, praying that the internet loads it all. Son of a bitch. Maybe I should kill my video. Let's see if that speeds things up. Nope. Yes. maybe.
Well, while we wait for
Yeah.
that, oh, there you go. Never mind. Look at
All right,
that.
cool.
Look at the time.
So yeah, so check it out. These are this is my personal collection. You could actually check it out if by searching for my account, which is PoetX. And so yeah, if what is happening are people are actually bidding on the items that I've got here. So Board Ape Kennel Club, Board Ape Yap Club is a quite a popular set of NFTs. And so you can see like the price range that some of these are fetching at this point. They are worth quite a bit, and that's our plan. Is that our Leyline NFTs are going to be in this range too. So it's why we're developing our project, because now imagine being able to sell this when you're a young teenager in an extreme poor village. Like that is life changing, because like already $100 is like a monthly salary. So yeah, you could choose to sell your item, and you could set your price. You could set it up as a fixed price auction, or set price, or a timed auction. You have a lot of these opportunities here. So that's the idea, is that you can export your items out of your Leyline profile, and then take them to your Kaikis wallet, post them onto OpenSea, and start to sell them as well. So as we're planning to launch our big avatar project in the future, a lot of the items and NFTs you have now collected on your profile, will be upgrading these and making them more badass and more unique. So you as alpha testers have like the most exclusive of exclusive NFTs in your inventory. As a big thank you for being here from the very beginning and helping us to develop the platform and make this as a great experience as possible. So
Well,
Robert,
you
I
got
hope that
some
was helpful.
ideas.
Say that one more time, Robert.
I said you got some of the same NFTs I do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're trying to figure out like what our new style is going to be, because we're gonna aim for more consistency. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have like a refresh on almost everything, like our brand, the site design, but also the avatars and NFTs that we're producing. So these are gonna be kind of special, because they're gonna be quite unique, and we'll add a lot more functionality on top of them too. But yeah, while I'm here, one thing I was hoping to share with you guys are some of the other updates that we've got. So let me switch over to just a regular screen now.
Also, while you're doing that, just so we can get some questions, Mighty did
Oh, yes,
ask,
please.
can you soul bind an NFT so it's locked to a single user but publicly visible?
Yes, we absolutely can. Though I just want to make sure I understand correctly what you mean by bind to a specific user. Because every NFT will only exist in one person's wallet. So it's really up to you. Once you've extracted it out of the Leyline wallet and moved it into your Kaikis wallet, it'll always be there until you decide to trade it or change it. So I hope I answered that question correctly, Mighty.
Can you hear me?
Where is
But
he?
can
Hello?
you bring your
Oh yeah,
Kinkus wallet
here.
to the Leyline wallet?
Hold on, let Mighty, you go first, and then Robert, we can go to you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to clarify. I mean, can you let's say you guys give me an NFT, but you only want me to have that NFT. So maybe I don't know. I donate blood or something, but I donate like the most blood. So you give me a special cat NFT. Can you make it so that I'm the only one who has that NFT, and
Oh
I'm the only
yeah,
one who can like trade it in or something,
yes,
but I can't trade it to other
totally.
people? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be like different sets that we have. Some are gonna be common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, that can have multiple instances of it, like 100 or 1,000 or unlimited. But we'll also have like our exclusive ultra rares that are one of one. So I think that's the big push we're gonna aim for probably later this year, where we're gonna do a 10K. Like so, there's these projects called like 10K. And Board Apes Yacht Club is a good example of that, where they're 10,000 uniquely minted avatar NFTs that are never to be reproduced and have their own custom traits. So we'll be doing our version of that for Leyline. So yes, absolutely, there will be these one of one avatars that are going to be super hard to get. And those are the ones that are typically going to go for 2, 3, 5, 10, 20K, and probably more over time, because we are still
Well,
very early to
the
the game.
second part of his question The second part of his question was soul binding, though. I think we want to keep these so that people can always list them and trade them and sell them, right?
Yeah, I think there is one exception, which is we will have badges. So if you've hit a certain achievement, I think those badges would be bound to your account. I don't know but I don't know. I don't know if there's any good reason we'd want to restrict it from you to be able to trade it, because I think the whole idea is to give you the freedom and control and ownership of it and not be locked into the Leyline ecosystem. So I would probably favor freedom and autonomy if that's the question. I think the more we soul bind to certain accounts, I think the less power you guys have to, trade and make money or, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that would be especially a bad thing if it was somebody in an underserviced nation who has something valuable that was locked to them that they couldn't trade for food. You know?
How would
Yeah.
that work with certain achievements? Like he was talking about the blood donating specifically. So if one
Mhm.
person has that, let's say it's it's given to somebody because they've donated the most blood, um, and then that's sold to anybody, somebody else they don't know, but then they like lose that title because somebody else donates more blood.
Yeah, I think
Would
that's
that
why I think for those situations, you're right that that wouldn't necessarily be an NFT. It's just more like what exists on your personal profile and your stats. So one idea is that we actually just turn your profile into an NFT in and of itself. So, for example, as we continue to add more and more stats based off the activity that we're doing, and even you could even see in the history, we've been adding more and more of these activities that will actually be your key profile, and then you could use that as an identity in other elements of the metaverse. So that's another partnership we're working on right now with Koi. And thanks to Chris Tucker for setting up that kind of partnership, where we've created this whole digital altruism resume. It's like this proof of good that you've done in a world. And that is something you could take with you into other platforms like Decentraland and CryptoVoxels, where you are now validating that you're a good human being. You've done some good shit, and now your avatar and your identity is tied to that. So that to me is like just an NFT, which is your profile and your stats. And that stuff is immutable because so you can't really sell off the fact that you did this many computing power hours. Like, I don't know if anyone wants to necessarily buy that, but they would buy something potentially that shows the story of you, that, you put in all this hard effort and work, and, someone's actually putting value to that and then paying you as a result. So that could be a scenario that plays out. It's super unclear, honestly. It's such a new space that who knows what people will attribute value to. But I think that's the focus on our side, is to validate the good that you've done. And that stuff shouldn't be taken away from you. I think you're right. That should be soul bound to your profile. It's a great question, Mighty. It's very thought provoking because I haven't thought through every angle there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think you'd answered it pretty well. Thank you.
Cool. All right.
Great. And then Robert, what was your question if you still have it?
Yeah, I had a question. I don't know if this is possible. Can you bring your NFTs out of that Caicus back to Leyline?
Yes, absolutely. I hope we fixed that bug, by the way. But yeah, so on the website you can connect your Kaikus wallet. And let me make sure that I do that correctly. So here, these are items on my Kaikus wallet that are not on the Leyline profile. So here, once you do that, you could actually select import, and then your pop-up will show up. I don't know if you see my pop-up. There's going to be a tiny transaction fee, so I'm paying a 0.00164 Clay, so it's like fraction of a penny to transfer it over, which is why Clayton is a great blockchain, because if it was Ethereum, you'd probably be paying like $2 or $3 depending on congestion. So now it's no longer in my Kaikus wallet, but it is now on my Leyline profile. So yes, it's absolutely possible. And in fact, when you buy other Clayton NFTs off of OpenSea, you'll be able to import them as well. Some of them may not be visible because it needs specific flags or metadata to ensure that it's Leyline compatible. But those are the things that we're going to start to work on next, which is how do we open source our data format such that any platform can be importable onto Leyline. But I think one thing in the short term we're going to start to do is make our NFTs compatible into other platforms, and the first one will be Decentraland. We'll likely buy our own space there over time, and we can start to gather there and then use our Leyline NFTs as our avatars. So we're gonna have some cool stuff in the future. And in fact, what I'd hope is that in the near future, maybe next month, we can start to hold our events in Decentraland and Discord at the same time, so we can hang out with our avatars and our art galleries and all this cool stuff. So it's gonna be kind of crazy, like next generation stuff that's going on here. Great questions, guys. That's awesome.
Jeremy, I tried that a couple of days ago and it didn't work. I guess with a fee they called.
Yeah, we might have fixed the bug. If you check out the release notes, I remember we did have an issue being able to import it back. So yeah, if you're able to do it now, or if you can't do it now, please let us know. We'll make sure we get it addressed. I think it was Paul that had a number of items just disappear on him, so it kind of freaked him out. Is that right, Pineapple?
Yeah, but I did get them all back after they fixed it.
Yeah. And that's a good thing about the blockchain is that they will never disappear. They're always going to live on a blockchain, so you never have to worry about losing that. Oh well, you have to worry about someone stealing it from your wallet though. So we're going to have a security tutorial, one of these Q&As. I'll line it up on the agenda. So yeah, just sharing this too. We have now deployed the marketplace, if you guys haven't noticed, which is super fun and exciting because now you get to trade NFTs with each other and you can set and name any price. I think what we could do is probably even create a trading channel here, if that makes sense, because now everyone's got their own stuff they want to sell. Oh, Refwoods, awesome. You're selling all your stuff already. Damn, 2,500 for a dog shark.
I don't know. I wanted to short sell it from the 5,000.
No, it's great, man. I love it. So yeah, now's the opportunity that if you guys want to, start to collect and build up your NFTs and your avatars, you can post it up, and we're gonna see how much people want to pay for your stuff. And Discord, I think, is a great opportunity for us to chat and negotiate and bargain and all that stuff like that. So the way we're kind of setting up now is that the marketplace here is going to be focused on the Leyline points and internal trading. But if you want, now that you get your art piece and story behind it, you can also export it and put it onto OpenSea to sell things for actual crypto and just make that real cash value. So it's going to be interesting. This is our next experiment, is seeing whether or not you guys want to collect and request certain things or look at other people's profiles and be like, yo, I want to see if I can grab this NFT. So we're working on more ways to actually generate the NFTs. So the next thing will be, that's on our roadmap, is starting to build the mystery box, which I can talk about today too. So anyway, marketplace is now live. Go to town, start selling your NFTs or trading, and you can start to post on Discord if there's anything you want to try and grab. Personally, I've got way too many Starbursts, and I've got an extra Cyber Ninja, which is my personal favorite. So I could probably put that up for sale if you guys want that. What else? Okay, so one other thing I'd love to share is kind of zooming out and sharing the latest vision with you guys. So we're calling this it's just an assessment of what our value chain looks like. So really, a lot of Leyline is centered on how do we magnify social impact all over the world, and how do we make sure that it's legitimate, that there's real backing behind it. So we partner with nonprofits, NGOs, and any org that has a focus on social impact and improving people's lives or the environment. So what we do is you participate in these activities that are validated by these nonprofits. So it's essentially we're creating this proof of good. And then through doing that, you earn your Leyline points. At the same time, we're also building the community, not just the platform, but a gathering place for people that are like-minded, that are good human beings, that are trying to help each other out, and also trying to get paid for doing good. So in our Good Acts channel, or where you can earn your Leyline points for posting videos, stories, even just writing a story, could be something that we reward and celebrate. We also reward Leyline points for supporting and giving moral support for people who have gone out of their way to share what they've done. We are also starting to develop our XP system such that way it's much more rewarding and interesting versus just rewarding you just for posting chats, which includes doing things like polls. And also NFT drops. So we're really trying to add a lot of value for being a participant in the community and to helping others. And then now they're earning all these Leyline points. The key here is we want to build out this prize pool. But actually, before I get there, um, shoot, man, I got to work on my narrative on this one. Anyway, I'll continue with the prize pool. So yeah, the next thing we're going to be building out is our mystery box. So for any gamers out there, this mechanic might seem familiar, which is like the whole loot box thing, but we're trying to use it for good, not to extract value out of you and make you spend money after over and over again. So what we'll do is we'll still have the ability to redeem prizes directly, but the pricing of it will be disproportionate such that we incentivize people to roll the mystery box. And out of it will come a randomized collection of either gift cards or NFT avatars or just straight up crypto. So that way we're actually getting cash right into people's hands, the people that desperately need it, but even all of you, you should all be getting paid for doing good. So it's starting to create this cycle of rewards, this whole loop. And as a byproduct, because you're doing all this good stuff and volunteering, it's also building out your altruism resume where you have your stats, your inventory, which is something you could take with you anywhere else in the metaverse. And so now we're also working on mechanics to start to add more gamification and game experiences, like leveling up your NFTs and unlocking more cool stuff. So finally, we're creating all this value and embedding it into the NFT, your story, the art, the upgrades, the community, and the social impact. And then we want to enable you to start to trade those things. Now that these things have a lot of value in it, you could trade it amongst yourselves on a platform or export them and bring them onto OpenSea, which is where our business model kicks in because now we could do fundraising through these transaction fees while also celebrating the artists and helping out the individuals. And then we take that money and we put it back into the prize pool and buy more crypto and more gift cards for people to get value and get some money over to these nonprofits and start the cycle all over again. So this is the engine. This is the plan to basically build this, positive reinforcing feedback loop and ultimately get enough money to eradicate poverty all over the planet. So the recipe we know is working now. So the proof of concept is confirmed. And so now it's all about ramping up and going exponential. So I think we are very much poised to make this happen. And so it's exciting times. So I wanted to help refresh that vision for you guys because, we're all operating at kind of the micro level, but this is kind of the macro view. And I'm quite optimistic that we could pull this off. We're already doing it now. So it's now a question of scaling it. And again, want to thank you all for being a big part of this thing to help us figure it all out. And we're still just at the beginning. Any questions about our value chain and kind of the system that we're building here?
Is the mystery box active yet?
No, not yet. It is coming
Okay.
up on our roadmap or our backlog. I think now that we finished Marketplace, we'll be doing a bunch of updates to our site refresh. Actually, let me even pull up our roadmap real quick. Since we're all about transparency, you can just see what's next on our queue. And
So are
strategic
we in
backlog.
beta or are we still in alpha?
Yeah, I'd say we're still in alpha. I don't know exactly the cutoff that we're gonna put in place, but I would imagine I would love for us to have the mystery box and a bit of the profile in much better shape, and actually mostly the NFTs because the NFTs are still lacking a lot of the metadata. or at least surfacing it. So we really want to have more of this in place. And let me also show you a preview of that. Man, we've done so much since last we've spoken, which is great. I'm super proud of the team. Um, shoot, where is that? Christian created it. Bear with me. It's almost. I guess see my whole screen or just the window.
We're seeing a
Just
dragon
the-
halfling.
Yeah, just
Just the window.
portion
Okay,
of
cool.
the window, I think. Yeah.
All right. I get to hide all my shady stuff from you guys. Just kidding.
I want to say the website looks a lot better than it did when I first joined.
Oh, that's such a relief to hear. I am very glad to hear that. All right. So, let me share my screen. So here is what the item details are going to start to look like. Can you guys see the video playing right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the idea here is that your item details will have more of the metadata to explain, where it was created, who the artist was, when it was minted, its ID, but also all of the proof of good that you use to mint the NFT. We also have plans to unlock more content on it as the NFTs evolve, whether it's spending Leyline points or like burning other NFTs into this. We're still working out that mechanic. But also to show the proof, the good that you've done. So it kind of displays the stats and its level. So we're trying to work on making our NFTs like just super badass and cool and interesting and tell that story of the good that you've done. Potentially also capturing the story of like the actual people that you've helped out by participating in this economy. So I think that's really important for us to have a bit of a clear sense of the change that we've made in the world, and it's why I'm super excited about having us have folks that are on the ground participate and share that story, because then it becomes you can start to build this emotional connection to the people that are really suffering. And it's it's really kind of like sad to have to do that, but it's the way to build empathy is to really see and feel it. And we don't have the luxury to fly out to these communities to help the people, but now with the internet, we're empowered to see and feel that, and to also put our energy towards helping to solve those problems with them. Um, okay, so yeah, that's I would say some of the key things before we get to beta stage is having our mystery box and then having our NFTs like much more fleshed out in terms of detail and what's going into them. So yeah, for now we're doing a bit more of like the fleshing out and revamping the website, making it even clearer as to what we're building, what our value proposition is. Working on the NFT properties, and then I have mystery box a little bit down here. So we've got some more features and backend stuff to put in place. But very soon we'll be getting that mystery box functionality, which I think is very key to part of the fun of collecting all these cool things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we do have a question, since we were talking about things that were on the pipeline. What is the status of the celebrity NFT auction?
Oh, status of celebrity NFT auction is we are not going forward with the previous celebrity that we're working with for some reasons. When mainly comes down to a misalignment of how much money was expected to be made and where it was going to go. So the fundamental difference was we're trying to make this more community driven and social impact driven, whereas that celebrity's team, and particularly their lawyer, was more about we just want to maximize profit on this thing. So unfortunately, that was one of the deals that fell through. But it actually opens up a couple other opportunities where we have other celebrities and big artists that are wanting to collaborate and do that. So that was some sad news, and I have to share that, but probably not good to name drop and further bird of prey.
Also,
Yeah,
not
we
very
got
sad.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I mean, wow, that was a very, very difficult partnership to manage. It certainly drained my soul quite a bit. So I'm quite relieved to not have to deal with that scenario. But yeah, we invested a lot of energy into that potential partnership. So we took a big hit there. But I think that's part of the
See, I
journey is
don't.
that you pursue. So go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I don't see it that way. I mean, I see it drained a lot of energy, but I think it got us to where we are right now. We got great lessons learned from it and moving forward.
It's true. It's true. And I think that's how we should view almost everything, is particularly in the startup world where you're going to have to choose a path and there's going to be risks involved at every step of the way. And there is no perfect choice. You have to just kind of make your choice and then see it through. And hopefully they turn out great, but often it'll be a mistake that you have to learn from. And most of the journey is just making all these different mistakes as quickly as possible, learning from them, and pivoting, and then persisting. So that's been like a year of us doing that to try and experiment. And I think that's actually what most startups experience is it's really you have to be able to survive long enough to make enough mistakes to figure out the right thing. Once you got the right thing, then you've landed your proof of concept and your product market fit, and then you start to scale it. I think most startups actually fail mostly because they just don't have enough runway to keep those experiments going. It's not because they're not adding value or they don't have the right team or the right technology. It's mainly just run out of time and run out of money. So I think that's kind of our journey, and we've come close a number of times. And man, that crypto crash did not. Oh God, it was so awful. And I made the huge mistake of green lighting. How are we going to hold our assets? Do we hold our assets in some of like more crypto, or do we do stable coins, or do we do cash and fiat? And I opted for the more aggressive portfolio and paid the price. But
Dude,
we live
one
and learn.
stable coin just disappeared last week though, so
Yeah, that is also true.
there's no guarantee.
Hmm. Yeah. But I tend to play the long game as well, which is, I don't worry so much about the short-term volatility up and down. It's more about the long term. I know the trends are just going parabolic, and particularly the fundamentals. So, in this case, it's the growth of crypto adoption, but even just mobile and internet adoption, because the new generation is going to go straight to crypto. They're not going to bother with the stupid, archaic banking system that we have, where you have to go to some physical place, you have to show paperwork you don't have, an ID that you don't have, get background checks, and then get rejected, so you can't even go online. Instead, you just get a phone and click 3 buttons, and you got a wallet, and you're good to go. So that's where the future is. So you just got to pay attention to that, and that means just play the long game, which means crypto is going to be dominant within the next 5 to 10 years. So how it plays in the short term is a super high volatility game, and that's where you have to have a iron stomach, because wow, losing 50% of your portfolio does not feel good, especially when you're trying to run a business. So live and learn, live and learn.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, yeah. This is the game we're playing.
Has the cryptocurrency rebounded yet? And my
It's
second
starting
question
to.
is there a timeline for the new celebrity NFT auction?
Is there a tagline you said?
No, a timeline.
A timeline. I don't know, because we're actually in the midst of quite a big, set of developments. Like particularly how we want to do our partnership and integration with High Vibe, pushing forward our next segment of our partnership with Clayton, and developing and hopefully qualifying for another big grant. And we're also doing a lot more of this grassroots type of auctions, where it's not about these giant tentpole celebrities, but just big prominent influencers in the crypto and NFT space, or artists that are coming in. So it may happen almost every month. I think we're starting to create this train of, this in middle or late July, we're gonna have a collaboration with NFTs.tips. They're a really big community growing in Clubhouse and live events. So I believe we're going to be doing a Decentraland metaverse event where we'll probably have a gallery of like NFT art that we have in our collection, and then just post it up and try to get some sales that are going to go towards artists, Leyline, and people on the ground that need it. So I think it'll be more of this grassroots approach, month by month, and then at some point, some other big celebrities are going to jump into the fray. But a lot of that's still like up in the air. It's all like in the vicinity, and it's just slowly coalescing. So it's hard to give a timeline, but we're building into that month after month. So at some point, one of our monthly NFT charity sales are going to have like this big bomb dropped. And let you guys know once I can talk about it. And clearly take everything with a grain of salt, because these are all plans, and as nice as the plans sound, anything could just pull the rug. So I'll keep you guys posted, and hopefully they don't fall through. But sometimes that's the way it goes.
I'll have you know that I was a founder for Hellgate London, so give me your best shot.
You were a founder for Hellgate? Oh, you mean like a bought the founders pack?
$200 got you a lifetime subscription.
I enjoyed it for like a couple hours. Like I like the idea behind it, but unfortunately, execution didn't follow through. But Robert, you asked a question about crypto rebounding. I think it's took a very hard dip, but it is on the recovery now. So we're seeing it slowly creep back up. I'm not sure if we're gonna see like a giant like rocket ship, but man, there's just so many macro economic factors at play. One thing to me is to keep an eye on is what's going to happen with the value of the U.S. dollar and fiat currencies relative to the amount of inflation that's going on. From what I'm seeing, I think the current figure is 5% inflation, which is 2% higher than expected or targeted, which is a bad indicator because we are still in the midst of like economic recovery and supply chain disruption, etc. So there's a lot of like fragility going on in like the traditional economic spaces. Same thing with the stock market with hypervaluation. It's certainly in a bubble, and the fundamentals are opposite of crypto, where crypto is seeing mass adoption taking place, but the stock market is just consolidation of like wealthy pockets. In fact, most of the stock market is only owned by the top 30% of citizens. So it's only a reflection of rich people's emotions than it is like real production. So, personally, I don't have a lot of confidence in the validity of the stock market nor its resilience over time. But that's, not financial advice, just opinions. So that could have some kind of impact in terms of the value of the cryptocurrencies that you own. It could swing one way or the other because the U.S. dollar is still the gold, still the global standard for currency and all that jazz. So I don't know. I very it's super unclear to me how this is going to play out over the next year or so. But I would say, prepare for a big reckoning. Like there's a lot of fragility in the current economic system, a lot. I could even do a whole session on like all the data that I've dug into, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. And mostly for Main Street, like Wall Street's gonna be fine. The top 1%, they've rigged the system already, but for most average people, it's not gonna be pretty. So, anyway, don't mean to be very grim and dark about it, but if you'd like to learn more, happy to talk about it. And I'm not
Well,
like this giant expert either, just a researcher.
I'm interested in noting too that some of the crypto offerings, the new tokens coming out, are starting to almost exactly mirror traditional financing tools, which is kind of what we expected, just maybe a little quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that. So blockchain is going to kind of replace everything that exists on the internet. So you're going to see almost every traditional business model and financial model replicated in some way on a blockchain space, and then further innovated on and added more utility and security. So anything you can imagine as a business like will be replicated. So even think about like the real estate industry. All of that stuff is going to move towards a blockchain because now you can have a deed that truly is immutable. So it's no longer, a government and their police force that ensures that you own your house. Even if a regime changes, like it's happening all over the place in Africa, you can now just say, no, listen, this is my house. It's on a blockchain. Like, no matter what government's there, this is a provable thing that I own this asset. It also like cuts out all of this intermediaries of validators and insurance policies and underwriters and all this crap. When you just have it in a blockchain, it's good to go. So almost anything you can imagine, like the whole internet is going to get swallowed up onto the blockchain to the point where it's just not going to make any sense to like create an app that's not on a blockchain. Like that will be the future. It'll take a lot of time, obviously, but yeah, essentially anyone that's smart enough can just pick an industry, pick some kind of tech to disrupt, plug it on a blockchain, and they're gonna make bank essentially. Yeah.
Martin asked a question in the channel saying, how about storing in metals like gold, silver, platinum?
Oh, I think, well, here, one thing I'd always recommend is just make sure you diversify your portfolio. So never just go all in on one thing, which, you can. It's just, it's like, what's your appetite for risk? So if you want to diversify your assets, yes, it might be a good idea to have some gold, silver, or some, rare metals, to have cash in a bank, to have some stocks or bonds, and then also have a portfolio of crypto and now even NFTs as your assets. Like NFTs are becoming like really, really powerful assets. So that's always good. So figure out what percentages you want to allocate across those asset classes. You could even like collect like baseball cards and comic books and art. Like all these things can be sold and resold. People will attribute value to that. One of the things that I have concern over when it comes to rare metals are its utility, because imagine now like all your assets are just in gold. Can you imagine like sending that gold like across the ocean to pay for something? Like it's super impractical where you can just teleport a Bitcoin like across the planet instantaneously. And aside from that, if you're thinking super long term, we're gonna begin space mining probably in the next like 2 decades. And once you can start to mine an asteroid, there's more gold in one asteroid than there is on our entire planet. So essentially, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk will, basically devalue the price of gold instantaneously by just mining one asteroid. So, it comes down to scarcity. So that scarcity won't be there forever for gold and silver.
But don't you think like at the end of the day, value is just in the like brain of the beholder or something like that? Like I mean, you can have like tons of gold, but I have like tons of food, and I'm not going to change that because I don't care. Like I don't want like I'm not interested in a shiny rock. Like personally.
Yeah,
You know?
personally. So the question is, what's the social consensus around it? So you as an
Right.
individual may have a different view of it. But I think, a large part of how assets have value does come down to their scarcity. Because, let's say I tried to sell you a piece of gold, but then right behind me is like 10 mines worth of it. You'd be like, screw you. I'm not going to pay a large money there. I can just walk behind you and get all the gold I need. So scarcity is really important for value of a currency. So that's where I see there in the long term, there's not as much
But how can something
longevity.
in like the digital realm be scarce?
It's because of blockchain.
Oh, we have to add
Blockchain
our
is
own.
that,
Right.
and well, blockchain is the innovation that enables that. So without
Right.
that, none of this would be possible, and this
Right,
is
right,
why
right.
it's creating its revolution.
But even blockchain is still like a social construct. It's just a shared kind of social construct. It's just a thing that says this is a non-cheatable, like no one can cheat here. It's still a social construct, but it allows for like not being able to use the cheat codes, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And well, when you think about it, any asset is just a social construct. Like, is there any asset that is not?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it just so happens that this technology is like a massive upgrade because there's no physical requirements. We don't have to like mine into the earth and destroy our planet to harvest these these assets. And yes, there is an argument to be made that we have to generate a lot of computing processing power to mint these items. But if you just shift over to renewable energy, then that's a non-issue. So we just accelerate
Like,
towards green
how if
energy.
one day just like human decency becomes like a tradable asset?
That is
Like that's
actually what we're trying to do with Leyline. The whole
right,
idea is that
exactly.
we are producing these purely as as a validation of an act of good.
Right,
And it's about celebrating, the finer
right.
things in humanity.
And then like being an asshole will, like take away from your value.
Yeah, there is some utility to punishing bad behavior. I tend to favor more how do we
The
build like
carrot
reward systems for
stick.
good behavior.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there will be solutions put in place to, I guess, punish bad behavior. It's just not my thing. I'm not
Right.
a huge fan of that.
Because if you're
But
just
yeah.
a company, that's an asset in itself rather than like, you're just like an annoying person that bothers everyone.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, once you reward all the positive, it just starts to overwhelm all the negative, that it becomes
That's
like a
it.
non-issue.
Right.
Again, that's a very idealistic point of view or perspective on it, but I do think that
We're
that's
headed.
probably the pathway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially social audio is kind of like heading us in that direction. I don't know, but I kind of see it. I kind of see this
Mhm.
social aura around like a particular voice and what they have to bring to the table, and then the trolls keep getting like kicked off of these things. Like nobody wants to talk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's I mean, that's what I like about these clubhouse type experiences, because it just means richer communication. Like, people can understand each other better. Whereas Twitter, like, you are
Right.
probably losing so much context, like so much context, because your intonation, your tone of voice, your pacing, all of these things clue you into what a person's trying
Mhm.
to communicate to you. It's not even just about the words themselves. Most of communication is actually nonverbal.
Right.
So I think these platforms are enabling a much better understanding of what people are thinking and what they're trying to
Right.
communicate, which leads to more constructive conversations. Because the more you leave to interpretation, the more people are going to just like assume the worst, and that's why there's like so much
Well,
toxicity on
that's why
Twitter.
Spaces is so great for me, and I'm done with, regular Twitter. I just use for like my drone photos and maybe an idea here and there, but I'm mostly doing the Spaces because, like, speaking is my thing. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel you, man. Uh, but what's also promising about the blockchain world is that the current um, business model creates these weird externalities on social media, because these algorithms are designed to maximize engagement and viewership, and engagement comes, or rather engagement on social media tends to be strongest with anger and things that trigger your negative emotions. So because it's like
Like the
hitting these,
primal brain
yeah, your
lizard.
amygdala, your limbic system.
Right.
And what happens is now these algorithms optimize that, so it just further fuels things that will
Mhm.
enrage you and then put it in front of your face, because that's what's going to drive
That
ad
that
revenue.
that's why like you were created for, this kind of digital kind of like decency. Fireside was created to combat just what you talked about. Like
Hmm.
that whole thing is the reason why Fireside was created, so that doesn't happen there. Yeah.
Yeah. And the business model relies on addicting you to that type of rage. But in a blockchain
R-
world, it's changing that dynamic where you don't need to have this persistent addictive engagement. It's about the quality, because when people start to produce
Yes.
quality results, they have
And
the economics.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, think about like, let's say like there was like a kind of like a jacuzzi with like kind of like, I don't know, mud in it and like tadpoles, you wouldn't want to like it would be kind of gross. So you'd be there, but if it's like I don't know if it makes you feel a certain way and you like shake around and you kind of get addicted to it. I don't know, it's gross. But then once you get in one that has no mud and has no tadpoles and it's really really clean, you don't want to get back in the dirty filthy swamp. So when I'm on Fireside, it's like why would I want to go back to the swamp? So like when we create all these new things because the swamp like is all people know is like the swamp some people, but then when they can know something else they probably don't want to go back to the swamp.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing where these new social media platforms that are based off of blockchain and crypto and tokens, they've built these incentive models where the quality stuff people will, tip them and say, "I like what you're doing. This is like good stuff. I'm gonna give you money." So the algorithm no longer has to optimize against anger and rage and all these negative things. It can optimize for the good that people are creating. So that is game changing. So, when you think about it, the root is how do you change the business model such that the more money is made based off of the good quality that gets generated. So to me, I think the next revolution in social media is going to totally reverse the anger machine that is currently destroying our society. Like seriously, it's really bad. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that stuff is going to change. It's mostly just people understanding the economic value going into these platforms that'll hopefully pull them into these new spaces.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm.
Yeah, build something better.
So,
That's it.
yep, that's the way to do it. And we have the power. Like the tools are now in our hands. It's just a matter of like doing the work, which we got to do.
In our palms. It's amazing,
Yeah,
right?
it's in our grasp.
Like the message can just go out from something you hold in your palm out to the entire world. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're the tip of the spear, guys. We're the beginning of the revolution, the quiet revolution to win back our
That's it.
society and our
That's it.
planet.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I gotta go. But have a
Yeah,
great
good to see you again,
time
Ario. Thanks for
in
coming.
here.
Any other questions before we wrap up or comments?
Do you miss Blizzard?
Do I miss it? I miss my friends and my team and nice parts of the culture, but in terms of like feeling um or having a sense of purpose and accomplishment, there's like nothing that compares to what we're doing right now. I don't think I could ever go back to corporate anymore. So yeah, not so much.
Okay. That's
Although
yeah.
what I do miss is like having good work-life balance where I could like literally clock out and be done with work. Like nowadays, it's just like 24/7. Like I all I can think about is my kids and work. So I miss having a work-life balance. That's it'd be nice to have a cushy job one more time, but that's not what I signed up for anymore.
That's cool, man.
But you don't miss sitting in the break room watching starving testers drink coffee instead of eating lunch.
Yeah, I feel for that. And had a lot of friends in customer service and QA. It's kind of heartbreaking to see the delta in compensation and quality of life, especially in Orange County, which is like super expensive.
Yeah,
So
that
many
stuck with me in that
injustices.
interview you did for Heavy.
Yeah, it's rough, and a big part of why I think it's super important that here at Leyline our organization has much more of an equitable compensation structure where we have mostly flat compensation models. I mean, we're still like really rough startup model where we can't like pay much at all, like and as a nonprofit as well. But our hope is, as we start to really level up the business, get more funding in place, have a sustainable revenue stream that we can actually compete with a lot of these tech companies. Like that is the vision. And at the same time, like the whole executive pay thing to me is like such garbage. Like I think it is like immoral to value a CEO a million times more than your lowest paid employee. Like that is such injustice, and so um it's so you can't even like validate that in any way possible. So these
Well,
are
if
the
you
kind of
extrapolate
injustices
that
that we
out
need
into
to
the larger society, that's the whole problem, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just
So
the
I
same
think
model that we use.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff we need to break. Like this new generation of nonprofits and startups and tech companies really need to think about, if you want to have justice and equity externally, you got to start internally. You have to live and breathe that, because otherwise it's all just bullshit. So we got to walk the walk is my take. And these are the hard lines I want to draw at Leyline. And ultimately, we want that fully transparent for the community to have power to say, hey, you know what? We need to make sure that you guys are transparent about how you're doing compensation, and potentially make proposals and say, hey, yeah, I think the community is saying, the Discord mods are this valuable, so they should be compensated in this way. We can start to enable that kind of participation as we build out more of the voting features here on the server, and mature into a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. And then what happens is eventually Leyline becomes governed by the people instead of like one, you know, potentially evil dictator. Like I absolutely want to prevent that from happening, like in every possible way. That is, I'm so sick of seeing that happen over and over again, and society, you know, getting crushed as a result.
Well, the funny
But
thing
yeah,
about this is you've already put your money where your mouth is in this very conversation because you showed everybody your NFT collection and it's the same ones we have. It's not like stacked, you know?
there's that. I mean, some of it is like coming from testing and drops, so even that I need to like give away all of those NFTs. So I think, yeah, I think I'm probably gonna end up donating most of my assets, because like I feel like that's an unfair advantage for me to be able to test this stuff so early. Um, but yeah,
But
it
you
really
didn't
depends on
have
whether it's
many.
worth. I know I don't have a lot, but I've got this like personal objective to have a very clear limit on the assets that I can own until we eradicate poverty, and I was originally starting out at the 1 million mark. Like I'll never be a millionaire until poverty's eradicated. But then I've been advised otherwise, because $1 million is probably going to be like not much at all in the next couple of years. But I'm going to set a benchmark like that where I'll just continue to give out assets until we solve this thing. And I think it can
How
happen
about
pretty fast.
how about for now you just promise not to be liquid for 1 million?
Uh, what do you mean not liquid for 1 million?
Well, you can have real estate because if you're gonna live in California, you're gonna have
Oh,
$1 million house, but you just don't
yeah.
have 1 million throw around money.
Yeah, potentially. I'll figure out some way and then publish it and just say like, here's my pledge and here's where it's at. I'll figure out the numbers, but for sure, once I've kind of stabilized like my situation, as in getting out of a hole, because right now I'm negative net worth right now. I think once I get through that, I'll start to put a pretty public pledge in place, and I'm gonna turn the CEO role into like true servant leader role. I think that's super key. And hopefully it kind of sets a standard for how CEOs are positioned, which is, it's people first and then the CEO. I think that's my ideal. It's going to take some work to get there, but that's my hope.
See,
And
it's
now that
funny
I've got
because
this on record, I am fucked if I try to change
I was
direction
just
there.
going to
So.
say that because I think that in most areas you take the other approach. You're always telling me that you want to make everyone a millionaire. So instead of focus on keeping yourself in poverty, you should focus on just making everybody else wealthy.
Mm. Yeah, that's the
Because, like,
plan.
for example, if you had enough money to buy a Tesla, is that a bad thing? You're now helping the environment.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's the key. It's like, so now imagine a world where everybody's rich, right? And this is possible. There's $20 trillion in circulation of GDP right now. Everybody can be rich. It's just that it's not distributed in an equitable way. That unleashes so much of human potential. Like, imagine like all of us being scientists. If every single person on the planet was like a scientist, like trying to solve these massive problems like disease and climate change, we would solve like everything like really quickly. but it's not. Like we've put so many people into scarcity that they're not able to participate in solving problems because they're barely able to survive. So that's the first step. Just unleash like the total sum human potential on the planet. And man, the possibilities are endless, like what we could address altogether. And getting rid of that scarcity mitigates racism and tribalism. It mitigates violence and crime. All these great things, happen as a byproduct of getting rid of scarcity, which is all artificial. It's very much um, a constraint put in place by people in power that want to retain that power.
Well, that, and you touched upon this once in a conversation, and we never got to loop back to it, but just giving people in developing countries the nutrition they need unlocks a level of potential that we can't even imagine.
Totally. And I'll see if I could dig up the studies as well, where there were nonprofits that basically drop shipped a bunch of tablets into a village in Africa, and they let it just sit there for a few months. They came back and they found that these kids like were able to hack into these devices. They were disassembling them. They were learning how to code. They were learning how to create like content and participate in other areas to start to learn and read just by giving them the equipment. So humans are, incredibly precocious and adaptable. It's just that we're not supplying them with the equipment to thrive, or
Which is
rather,
the
the
opposite from the old model where we used to sell them a John Deere tractor without any means of fixing it or any parts, and then it would rust in the field after a year and they'd be in debt for a generation.
Mm. And it also puts emphasis that education needs to be paired with that for sure. So now how do you get folks on the ground that can provide the mentoring and education? And I think a lot of that can be addressed because we have the capability to connect with everybody across the entire planet. So the fact that we could just do Zoom calls and provide that mentorship and guidance, and even focus on the volunteers on the ground to give them the tools and the training, that's the game changer. And where I think we need to invest as a species is create the economic foundation and then provide the education. And once you pair that up, sky is the limit. I think potential is just like off the charts. So yeah, we're gonna see these current experiments how it plays out. But I'll be doing more of these type of sessions, like with all the new volunteers that on board from Haiti and from Africa. And if you see folks hanging around, please do give them a warm welcome and help them kind of ramp up because this will be the first time they experience the internet. That's gonna be really crazy. So I'm excited to see how it all plays out. We're at the very beginning.
It's gonna be awesome.
Martin, I see what you say about Tesla's right to repair. I agree with you. I think open sourcing everything is the future. So the more walled gardens we have, it's not necessarily great for consumers. Uh, but anyway, it's all corporate decisions, which has some validity.
Hey, are we still bringing our partners in Nepal on board anytime soon?
Yeah, so I've got a session lined up with them for next week. But at the moment, I'm not in a big rush just because I want to make sure we put focus onto Haiti and Botswana first, not to spread ourselves too thin, and also be able to show some results and say, hey, we kicked this off and it's looking, like we're making some progress. It'll give us much more leverage to push forward with the other partnerships.
Sounds good. I
Uh,
just love the
yeah.
global message.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, I see what you're saying, Martin. Yeah, it's true because you have to like send it back in to get the repairs. Is that right? Or to get any kind of adjustments? Maybe they don't trust the people to fix their own stuff. I can see you're still typing, so I won't end it just yet. uh, but I'm gonna take a nap after this one. I spent almost like the entire day yesterday sleeping because I didn't have a good time flying.
How are you doing?
Oh, all right. I definitely feel off. Like my body's just not functioning correctly. My brain's a bit off too. So I think a bit more sleep and some exercise will do me some good. So that's what I'm aiming for today.
Good deal.
But yeah. But yeah, the stuff with high vibes moving fast, though. I still got plenty of work to do to kind of, get all the right information out, figure out the deal terms and all that jazz. Yeah, that's crazy, Martin, that they remote disable it if you crash. Which is kind of scary in that you are losing control over your own machine and property. That could lead to some very funky situations. It reminds me of watching iRobot, the Will Smith movie, which is totally not like the book, but the whole controlling the car and making it crash and do bad things. Very scary.
Thank you for adding that it wasn't like the book.
Yeah. Oh, it was a disgrace. I mean, it was entertaining in its own way. Just like it should not have been called iRobot. It should have been called something else. Wow, 3 Zoom calls. That's a lot. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming. It was great to catch up with all. And we'll be doing it every week and probably bringing in more and more peeps and having more updates on progress. We are moving fast these days, so it's super exciting.
Take care of yourself.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Thank you, Jeremy.